Hello folks, we are back again with an unboxing video. Now, as of the time of this filming, it's been over a year since my first ever tech unboxing video on the channel. And since I've gotten the opportunity to get another device, I might as well share it with you folks, share the experience of getting to unbox another new device. And what a device we're going to unbox today. This, if you haven't seen by the title of the video or the thumbnail, is an iPad, Apple iPad, just an iPad, not the iPad Air Pro or the iPad Air. It doesn't have any of the fancy Apple Silicon like the M2 or M3 processors that you get in the more advanced iPads. This is just the run-of-the-mill iPad. This, by the way, is the iPad 10th generation. Now, I'm sure as of the time of this filming, the iPad 11th generation has just come out that has the more advanced internals, the A16 processor, more RAM, newer software and all that. But it still bears the same design as the 10th generation iPad. Now, I think one of the hallmarks of the 10th generation iPad was it was the first iPad to introduce a landscape-oriented front-facing camera, which I'm not sure if the camera picks it up. Right here you can see where the front-facing camera is. It's better suited to landscape orientation, especially for Zoom calls, FaceTime, and all that stuff. So since this is the 10th generation model, this has about the same internals as the 4th generation iPad Air. So it has an A14 Bionic chip, 4 gigs of RAM, and in the base model, 64 gigabytes of non-expandable storage. I didn't read much else going into this, so essentially I'm just going into this without much preparation. So here it is. Here's the box. And as you can see, it has the iPad branding, and it's color matched to the color of the device that you get. And thankfully, despite being the base level iPad, the entry level iPad, this is actually the model with the most vibrant color selections. You think you get like a nice pink, they get this blue, red, and of course silver and some other colors, and you know the packaging reflects that. So here's the the specs here. 64 gigs, really nothing special. This is just a Wi-Fi only model, so there's no eSIM support or anything, no cellular connection. And from the looks of things, this being an iPad and not an iPhone, it looks like it might have a charging brick in the box. I really hope so, because I was genuinely let down by the S24 when I unboxed it last year, because apart from a few literature pamphlets and the USB-C cable, all you get is the phone and no charging brick, not even an itty-bitty 5-watt charging brick, which is just disappointing. You spend so much money on the phone and they don't even give you a charger in the box anymore. I'm still butthurt about that. Manufacturers are really just getting stingy. That's no excuse to exclude a charging brick from the box. Nevertheless, that is the current state of how manufacturers ship devices these days. But I think this one hopefully does have a charging brick in the box. Now, I haven't unboxed an Apple product from the 2020s onwards, but I'm sure many of you will now know at this point that Apple has moved away from shrink filming their products, sealing them in plastic from the factory. So you now have these more environmentally friendly pull tabs. Same ones you've also seen in the unboxing of the Galaxy S24 Plus that I got last year. So without any further ado, let's get right into it. I'm just as excited as you are about seeing this new device. Here we go. I hope the microphone picks it up, but if not, right. That's one. Let's do the other one. There it is. That's the last of it. So this is now officially unsealed. So we'll lift the lid. The immortal line of Detroit Borg, if anybody follows him, that follows his channel from back in the day. So lift the lid. Oh, it's nice and tight. It seems it doesn't want to come out, break loose from its packaging. Yeah. A very tight Apple box. It's quite a bit of resistance, really. Well, it's really unusual. I know at this point it's really out. There we go. Right? There's nothing in the underside of the box, by the way. And there it is. You know, this does remind me of a 12-inch MacBook. I happen to have one of those. A 12-inch MacBook. I got one, a 2015 model base. It has the same sort of feel. This paper cover, this protective paper cover with a pull tab to lift the tablet over. As you can see, here it is. All its glory. It's a blue. If you haven't noticed, it's a shade of blue. About the same shade of blue as the coral blue I have in my S9 Plus or my Note 9. We'll compare that later on when we unwrap the device. But since this is an iPad and not an iPhone, we do get a little bit more than just the device in the box. It says they're designed by Apple in California. Classic. So what do we get? Well, spoil the surprise. We have a power adapter, apart from our USB-C to USB-C cable. But before that, do we have Apple stickers? Warranty and safety information. From rather translucent paper of a quick start guide. Yeah. And tips. You get anything else? It's a pamphlet, as you can see, nothing. Unfortunately, the Apple stickers for cloud have now been omitted. Rather unfortunate. How would people know that I told an Apple device if they don't have Apple stickers? Anyways, here is the charger. We have a charging brick. I don't know the wattages. It says it's a 20 watt power adapter. I don't know if the camera can pick that up. No? Yeah. You'll just have to take my word for it. It's a 20 watt power adapter, USB-C, which is really nice. Considering this does have a sizable battery. I forgot the amount, but it's certainly bigger than 5,000 milliamp hours, I'm certain. And you have a nice braided cable, a white cable, USB-C to USB-C. Thank you. I'll be keeping that in the box for now. I'm glad it still has the full accessory kit, right? So we'll keep the lid on that, toss that to one side, and let's jump right into the action. See, so you flip this, and here's unwrap it. Let's see if I hope the microphone picks that up. Here we go. And there it is. It's a nice blue color. Let's pick that up. Ooh, feels nice in the hand. It's got a big display, as you can see, using the S24 to film this in. That's the paper that the thing comes in, protective paper. And here it is. Certainly no attempts at making the display anti-reflective, not even an anti-reflective coating. And I'm sure many iPad aficionados will point out that one of the big differentiators between the 10th generation iPad and the iPad Air 4, which my sister has, is the fact that the display, just like the old-fashioned iPads back in the day from the 2012s, 13s, like the iPad 2, iPad 3, 4, and so on, is that the display is not laminated to the protective glass. So there is a bit of an air gap between the digitizer and the actual display. Although from what I've seen, because a lot of these things are being displayed in Apple authorized resellers, is that you can barely tell the difference, unless of course you put an iPad Air with an iPad 10th generation side by side, and you might notice the difference. So let me preface this by saying that this does not support the Apple Pencil 2, so it doesn't magnetically charge at the top. So you'll have to get the USB-C Apple Pencil, or the old-fashioned Lightning Apple Pencils, which I don't recommend. But yes, you can't use an Apple Pencil 2 with this because it doesn't charge. So you'll have to get a USB-C Apple Pencil. Is one of your best bets if you want to use an Apple Pencil on this device. But since I mostly just use this for browsing the web, doing word processing, and consuming media, I won't be needing an Apple Pencil for my purposes. But in any case, here it is. So we have, pardon the lack of space, so we have two speaker grills at the top and bottom of the device. They're mostly there for symmetry, but then this doesn't indicate that this has quad speakers. It actually has dual speakers with one channel for each side, so you have one at the bottom and one up top. It's really better suited for landscape viewing when you're consuming content, because you have you have a speaker for one channel and another channel on the other side. You also have a Joy of Joys, a USB-C connector. Now I'm not sure about the USB-C speeds, but I will just link to the description about these specifications if you want to know. But I do think this does support display output. If you have a USB-C adapter to HDMI or something, or even VGA. You have a pogo style connector for the keyboard folio accessory, which I did not get because it is prohibitively expensive. One of the reasons why I got the iPad 10th generation is because since the iPad 11 was just coming out, the stores online were heavily discounting this, so I went ahead and snagged one, because I really do need a bigger device to consume content on apart from my phone. Now I know at this point I'm only like 23 years old or something, but even I'm having difficulty nowadays browsing the web, doing research, or even watching content like anime on a small device. And so, these kinds of things are really helpful, and it's a nice device to do it in. Really, apart from the Samsung Galaxy Tabs and the Xiaomi tablets, this is one of the better tablets to buy. There's a reason why they sell millions of these every year. Again, we have a single HD camera, no flash, but you do get a microphone. You have the Apple logo and the iPad branding. Very nice. I didn't get this engraved because they didn't get this through Apple Store. You also have a power button come fingerprint reader. I don't think this has Face ID, unfortunately, because uh, plebs can't get Face ID for some reason. But you do get a fingerprint scanner in conjunction with your power button, which is nice. So let's boot this up. I've rambled on for long enough, like I always do. So let's get right into it. There we go. So the Apple logo is oriented this way. So we're gonna set it up for the first time like we always do. It's I haven't tried an iPad in decades. The last one I had was an iPad 2, and that was relegated to the depths of my drawer. And that was running, I think, iOS 5, or the last iteration of iOS that had skeuomorphism. So this really is a quantum leap in terms of user experience. So you'll have to bear with me for being overly hyped. As you can see, so this is the welcome screen. It says hello or hello. So this is the display. Still got 88% in the battery. So let's get right into it. I'm excited. It's English, region, Philippines, appearance, text icons, large, medium. I'm not at an advanced age just yet, so I think the default will suffice. Quick start. Since I don't have a modern iOS device, we can't use this option. So we'll just set it up without another device. Written in spoken languages, English, yes. Okay, set up later in settings. So let me just enter my Wi-Fi information. One of the few things that we have to keep secret every once in a while, right? Okay, so it says it may take a few minutes to activate the iPad, so we'll have to wait. It's surprisingly portable. I mean, it's a flat slab with flat edges and rounded corners, which some may argue is rather generic because even a device like this Samsung Galaxy S24 that I'm using to film this has essentially the same shape. Of course, Apple loves to tout their privacy policy. iPad setup for myself, and now we'll get into Touch ID. Alright, let's set that up right now so you can see it in real time. Now I will concede I've had some seat time with a modern iPad. My sister has an iPad Air 4 from 2020, which has almost the exact same layout. So I'm acutely familiar with the more modern iPads. I'm not completely out of touch. There we go. So we'll set up my right index finger for now, since it's the one closest. Oh, there we go. And then add another fingerprint. No, we'll set up that up later in settings. Passcode, of course. Wow. Transfer apps and data? No, I don't intend to transfer anything. Apple account. Let me enter that as well. Okay, so we're back in. It did take a while to set up a new iCloud account. So this is what the Apple experience feels like. The last other device that I've had is from 2015. So yeah, that 2015 12-inch MacBook with the Intel Core M processor. Yeah, an iPhone 6s Plus from 2015. So those are all fairly old devices compared to something like this 10th gen iPad. Let's have that. Let's turn that on. Screen time, yes. Let's have that. And don't share. We have light or dark display. Let's have auto. Take advantage of the uh, display modes given the time of day, and here we are. It says welcome to iPad, get started. So it'll probably go to the home screen. There it is. Ooh, interesting. So this is what iPad OS feels like. Holy cow. Let me just enter this. Okay, so here we are. Just had to verify my email. Let's zoom in a bit so you can see the interface. So we're running. So let's go to about. So here we are. We're running iPad OS 18.2. So this is iPad OS 18 from the looks of things, and unfortunately this is only a 64 gigabyte model. So not the most generous storage size, but thankfully there's a USB-C port, and we do have a USB-C thumb drive to store other bits and pieces with. So here we are. I think Apple has claimed that the brightness on this is at a max 500 nits. So it's perfect for viewing indoors. It's an LCD display. I think Apple still uses the Liquid Retina branding for their displays. No ProMotion, unfortunately. So you'll start with 60 hertz. Just like people who have the iPhone 16 or 16e or the non-pro iPhones. But nevertheless, despite the 60 hertz refresh rate, yes, this is coming from somebody who uses a device with 120 hertz adaptive refresh rate. It's still plenty smooth. iOS is a master of smoothness with regard to the animations, and even though this is I think around about 4-year-old chipset now at this point, it still clearly feels responsive enough, you know. And given Apple's excellent software support, it'll probably last a long time. Given that there are discounts on this thing, it's still a great deal, especially if they're discounting these things heavily. Um, so we have, let's try the Touch ID. Use the right in. So here's the, yeah, there we go. Works like a charm. Now, unlike older versions of iOS, you do get widgets front and center. Now, I haven't decided how I'm going to set this up, since I need to get reacquainted with iOS, especially the modern one. And um, as a matter of fact, this isn't even iOS. People will burn me at the stake for saying this. This is iPad OS. This is separate and distinct from iOS, which is reserved for iPhones. So there's plenty of things that I'll have to get acquainted with. I'm sure there are plenty of other videos on YouTube detailing you how iPad OS 18 works, and they'll probably do it better since they have the higher spec models like the iPad Pro or the newer iPad Airs. But in any case, that's the that's your first look at the iPad 10th generation. Now, I gotta say, even though this isn't the iPad Air, it's still surprisingly light. It's not as thin as an iPad Pro, which is insanely thin. It's about the same thickness as the USB-C. This has a little bit more thickness, so you can grip onto it, but yet the weight distribution is perfectly balanced, as it should be. That it's easy to hold with just one hand or both hands, and it's still enough thickness to grip with your fingers. Um, so in terms of camera, the camera is you know what, I can see it. Let me consult the cheat sheet and see what kind of so it says here there's a 12 megapixel sensor. Now I suppose this is probably the same 12 megapixel wide angle sensor, not ultra wide, no, wide angle sensor, as something like the iPhone SE's. Not bad. Those aren't too bad, right? Yes, and we also have the motion photo, which I should know very well because this was first introduced with iOS 9 in the iPhone 6s and 6s Plus line. So it's only one lens. You can digitally crop the zoom. So you have a slider here. Also have square. You also have slow-mo, right? Video, photo, and if we flip this up, we have the front-facing camera. Hi. Now, one of the funny things is at least the front-facing camera uses the display as a flash. Unfortunately, the rear camera doesn't have that, so it's good for bright daylight events or well-lit events. But if you have to use this camera, the iPad as a camera, well, you better make sure that you have good lighting because this doesn't have a rear flash. Other than that, well, that's your lot. There are surprisingly a lot of pre-installed apps. I'll probably uninstall some of these to save on storage because we only have a finite amount of storage, 64 gigabytes. But so far, so good, and it feels so good in the hands. But before that, let's segue into also unboxing an accessory. Now, of course, this isn't anything special. It's not an Apple accessory. It's not even one of the more well-known case manufacturers like Spigen or UAG or whatever. It's just a generic no frills case you can get on Shopee or in other parts of the world, maybe Amazon. But at least it's nice and affordable. I don't need the keyboard folio case anyways, since that's too much money. So we have one of these uh, off-brand folio cases, perfect for what this iPad was meant to be, which is a media consumption machine. So this is what I got. I forget. I don't know how to pronounce this, but this is what it is. Right. So let's unbox the case. Yes, yes, sirree. There we go. I got it in green. This is a 10.9-inch display, by the way, if I failed to mention. A nice foam filler. It's a rubber case. I'm sure you've seen plenty of these out in the wild. So you have a nice provision for an Apple Pencil. It's a rubber case, nice and durable, flexible as well, and does the thing where you can set up. I know this is one thing that's been available since the earlier iPads with an ambient light sensor. You can, if you flip the cover, it locks automatically, and when you unflip it, it wakes the screen. So yeah, pretty standard. iPads are so ubiquitous that even if it's your first time handling one, you're probably going to be familiar with it. Anyways, you'll be well acquainted within seconds. So we'll try and put this in to the case. But of course, since this is a new device, let's give it a nice wipe down. Do the beautiful display, even though it's not exactly the range topping model, a bit of justice, right? I think this is good enough. We'll slide that in to its new home. Get the let me get the corners in. It's nice and soft. There we go. So that's your lot. Screen's going haywire because oh no, I seem to have put this in backwards. Oh goodness, how embarrassing. Yeah, let's rectify that. Let's rectify that right now. Okay, so here's the device. The right way up. Okay, so it's oriented properly this time, so it should just drop in. Oh dear. Come on. Do pardon me as I struggle to put this into the friggin' case, which is a seemingly menial task, but it's harder than it looks. I can assure you. So wipe that down, and there it is. If you're particular about keeping your screen clean for longer, I will advise that you have to carry around a microfiber cleaning cloth on hand to keep this display looking smudge free, because this is essentially a big black slab of glass, and because there is no anti-reflective coating, it'll be even more prominent, especially under bright lights, even indoors, because indoor lighting can get a little harsh sometimes. So we have the iPad cover lock, if I or if that's what they still call it these days. Um, bear with me here. Lock, auto lock. I think it's this one, right? No, not that. Lock and unlock. Um, oh my. I don't know if they still have that. Because of the many iterations of iOS, it seems that they've rearranged so many things that I've used to be familiar with, but now just not the case anymore. Or does it do that automatically? Let's see. Oh, it does. Oh, so you don't need to set it up anymore. That's cool. It's I have quite a bit to learn regarding iPad OS, so I'll leave it at that. Thank you so much for watching. Now, one more thing before I go. One of the things that I like about the newer iPads these days is that uh, it emulates a full-size keyboard with many shortcut functions. And one of the things I like is that even though it doesn't have a separate number row, you do have, if you want to invoke a character, let's say this W is a 2. If you have W, just swipe it down like so. And you even have full-size Enter, Shift, Tab, and Delete keys, which is absolutely lovely. It really takes advantage of the extra screen real estate. Something that I am genuinely happy to see. So there it is for the first time, and the first time of many to come. Uh, this is the new to me at least, iPad 10th generation. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you had a good kick out of this as much as I did. And stay tuned. Hopefully we get more tech and more opportunities to unbox tech and different other devices on this channel. And one thing to watch out for is I might upload an update regarding the S24 Plus that I unboxed just over a year ago, because I heard as of the time of this filming that Samsung has finally rolled out One UI 7 on Galaxy S24 devices, and it should be interesting to see how the Galaxy S24 Plus, which I'm using this to record with, performs with the new One UI 7 that you only used to exclusively get with the S25 series of devices. So that's one thing to look forward to. But other than that, subscribe, leave a like, share, or comment, be it positive or negative, or just saying hey, because engagements drive views, and at the same time, it gets the message out there. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you again next time.